You're not the dog!
No. The name's Man. Snowman.
Hey everyone, happy 2021. It's January, it's a fresh new year, and naturally I got a fresh new J reviews for you too. And would you look at that? It's a winter miracle! It's snowing! Wow! Okay, it's not actually snowing in my room at this particular moment, but I've got the next best thing, Snow Bros for the NES. I didn't actually buy the cartridge. It was like $200+. So this is Snow Bros. We got Mario Bros, Smash Bros, why not Snow Bros? Originally an arcade game, it was later ported to the NES in 1991, making it a very late era game for the console. NES games released in the 90s often had limited copies made, which would explain why this one costs so much nowadays. But let's see if it's worth the theoretical price tag. The game is inherently co-op, unlike most games I tend to review, so I actually had to recruit the help of my brother this time to help play through the game. He couldn't make it for this filming, however, so I had to use a stand-in. Introducing my brother Bruce. That's us. The Snow Brothers. Jay and Bruce Snow. The game opens with a story explaining how the Snow Bros came to be. For many years, King Scorch had plotted to take over the world. But gosh, the text comes up so slow here, it feels like I'm a kindergartner reading his first book or something. I'll give you the SparkNotes version. So this bad dude named King Scorch wanted to take over the world, but he knew he couldn't get past Prince Nick and Prince Tom of Whiteland. Huh, Whiteland. That's a name, I guess. So anyway, King Scorch cursed the princes, transforming them into snowmen, leaving the two princesses of a neighboring kingdom defenseless. So now we have to rescue the princesses because that will somehow stop King Scorch or something. So the goal of the game here is pretty simple. You lob snow at the enemies to turn them into giant snowballs and then fling them away. Clear the screen of enemies and you move up to the next floor where you repeat the process. Since we have the power to shoot snow, it makes me wonder if King Scorch's plan to make us powerless didn't actually backfire. I mean, they even do these really animated flips whenever you jump, which isn't something you'd usually see in an NES game. I don't know why, but it's really funny to me. Then again, maybe Scorch's plan did work out. The princes are really pathetic, dying from a single touch of any enemy. There's potions you can find to make you faster or your shots stronger, helping you encase the enemies into giant snowballs faster. Speaking of the enemies, I'm not exactly sure what they're supposed to be. Gremlins or goblins seem like they might be accurate titles for these guys, but the game's manual has very different names for them. We have Chili, Fridge, Frogger? Why is this one named Frogger? He's not even a frog. And there's literally a frog enemy in the game. What? Oh, also, according to the booklet, those power-ups aren't potions, they're hot sauce. Ah yes, hot sauce. The obvious power-up for a snowman. Along with the normal enemies, Ichabod Clay from Clay Fighter will show up if you take too long to clear a floor. No, seriously, that looks exactly like Ichabod Clay. He even matches his color scheme from the N64 game. Every 10 floors you face off against a boss, and these bosses are bosses, alright. Yeah, for those of you that know me, I really love the inclusion of bosses in games. Add bosses to your game and your rating is already gonna get a boost for me. But these aren't exactly the best designed bosses. They kinda just move around a bit while throwing enemies everywhere in a pretty chaotic manner. The weird thing though is that they don't really give any feedback on if what you're doing is harming them or not. I hear lots of tink sounds which would indicate our attacks aren't really effective, but other than that it's not giving us anything to work off of. Think of a game like Metal Slug where the bosses give very clear, very satisfying indications that you're harming them. The impact of your weapons and the flashes on the machines just feel good. Here we get nothing. We might as well be flinging snowballs at the walls instead. The later bosses do get a little better about this, like these birds that change color when they're low on health. The floor 40 boss does something similar as well, and actually feels like the most competently put together boss fight in the game. But man, he just looks ridiculous. Half the time he's just dragging his butt across the floor like a dog who just came back in from taking a crap outside. And when he does his single attack of opening his mouth to summon fireballs, he just looks like he's screaming in horror. In fact, he has a constant state of shock in his eyes, like he's been traumatized. This giant goblin just lives in fear. I kind of feel bad for him. Floor 50 is the final one and the big boss of the game. Two giant statue heads that spew out bubbles. That's it. The bubbles sometimes contain enemies and sometimes contain power-ups, but they're most deadly when you get caught in one and you have to struggle your way out before they carry you to the spiked ceiling. This is the only boss that seems to take damage from your base snow attack, and to give the game some credit, they actually do flash on impact this time. Why couldn't every boss be like that? These guys have a ton of health and they won't change color as they get closer to being destroyed, making it hard to feel like you're really making progress. But after a while they will go down and the princesses are saved. That's it. The end of the game. Where the heck was King Scorch during all that? We had a 2.5-minute prologue introducing the big bad of the game, and then we didn't even get to fight him at the end. Imagine you're playing Zelda on NES and you read about Ganon in the manual. You hear about him in-game, all this build-up to fight this great evil. Then you reach the end of the final dungeon and there's just a giant rock you have to destroy. What the heck's that all about? Well, in conclusion, I have to say that Snow Bros is an okay game, but nothing to write home about. The game's art is pretty nice, with colorful level backgrounds and goofy enemy designs. The gameplay works fine for the most part, though it does feel like it's meant to be a quarter-eater machine despite being a console port. Me and my brother actually had to use an infinite lives cheat to get to the end of the game, only reaching floor 20 on our first attempt. The coolest mechanic in the game is probably the fact that you can push enemies turned snowballs on a path that will take out other baddies in a combo, but it does feel limiting after a while. There's a little slot machine minigame after the boss fights, which is kinda neat, but it doesn't really add much overall. It had to be said eventually, but Snow Bros is extremely similar to the classic arcade and NES game Bubble Bobble. Two dudes going from floor to floor, clearing screens of enemies to progress, using an attack that puts enemies in a trapped state that must be finished off by touching them, and the ability to knock out multiple enemies in a single combo that you often find yourself being carried along in. One game was clearly heavily inspired by the other. Bubble Bobble, however, is definitely the stronger title. The level designs are more creative and fun, and the bubble mechanic certainly beats out the snow. You can expertly use bubbles to reach platforms that you wouldn't be able to normally, and you even have to master this in order to clear certain floors. In Snow Bros, you can actually get stuck in certain spots with no way to get out, unless an enemy just happens to be in the exact right spot for you to snowball and then jump off of. I'm starting to wonder if the bubbles in the final boss fight was a message from Snow Bros. I might be giving Snow Bros a little tougher of a time since it's so similar to a game that had already come out before it, and nailed its execution significantly better. But even putting that aside, I wouldn't drop $200+ on this particular NES game. Well, it's the end of 2020, and I somehow coincidentally picked a not so great game to review. Bruce actually liked it. But anyway, let's forget about 2020. It's 2021 now. It's a brand new year, a brand new start, and a brand new opportunity to find a bunch of cool games that we've never played before. That's gonna be my goal for this year anyway, and I hope all of you achieve your goals as well. So on behalf of me and Bruce here from J Reviews, let's all try to get this year right. Happy New Year, everybody. It's getting really snowy in here. I thought the snow was fake. What's happening? Please, Bruce. Brother. Protect me.
I made it to film. What the hell?
Oh!
Who's that?
Oh!